I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here with the quartering, and things continue to spiral for the Rise of Skywalker. Boy, if I could ever say that movie right, it would be a miracle, as new reports claim or show that the film has completely flopped in the Chinese market, a key market for modern day Disney. So much so that Tencent invests heavily in Western cinema, and these films nowadays make almost as much money globally as they do just in the United States alone. On top of that, Mark Hamill forced to apologize for liking a tweet, apparently. This is the world that these people choose to live in. It's very bizarre to me that I would ever be in a situation where I would apologize for liking a tweet, but that's the modern day Hollywood world we live in. Now, to start the story, early data, according to Variety, shows Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker as a complete flop in China for its Friday debut. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is expected to be the biggest film of the weekend globally, with an estimated opening of 170 million to 200 million in North America alone. Well, they already know basically North American numbers because hardcore Star Wars fans bought their tickets 6 months ago. So we already know that most showings are relatively sold out, unless it's early in the day. But in China, it's on course to be the weakest performing installment in the new batch of Star Wars films, which is crazy to me. Apparently, making the black guy, John Boyega, smaller on the movie poster wasn't enough to save the Chinese market. On Friday, in its first official session in the Chinese theaters, the film was barely crawling by 8 p.m. local time. The Rise of Skywalker had earned just $2 million. According to multiple data tracking services, it stood in 4th place behind 3 Chinese titles. Topping the chart with a comfortable 46% market share is a new release, Donnie Yen, starring martial arts actioner Ip Man 4, the finale, and with 10 million. Second place, that's first place, Ip Man 4. Second place belongs to holdover crime thriller Sheep Without a Shepherd, blah, 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 blah. The 530 figure for Rise of Skywalker produces a running total of 5.85 million. That includes a full day of previews on Wednesday and midnight screenings on Thursday evening. The wimpish performance gives online ticketing agency Maoyan reason to forecast a lifetime box office of just 18 million for Rise of the Skywalker. That is insane. 18 million in China. That figure, if accurate, points to Rise of Skywalker completing its China run with a cumulative score of less than the opening weekend performance of the other Skywalker titles, and strongly suggests that the Star Wars franchise may be in terminal decline in the Middle Kingdom. Indy! Now quiet down, buddy. In January 2016, The Force Awakens opened with 52 million on the weekend and achieved a lifetime score of 126 million. Rogue One, Star Wars side story, released in December with Chinese stars Donnie Yen and Yan Wen in prominent roles, managed 30.6 million on opening and a lifetime of 69.4. In 2017, The Last Jedi slipped further, registering an opening weekend of 28.7 million and a lifetime cumulative of 42.6. So the worst performing one did 28.7 million, while The Rise of Skywalker looks to just top out at 18 million. Almost less than half, about 60% of the previous title's opening. And look, normally I wouldn't care one iota about what the Chinese market does, but for Star Wars and Disney, they clearly pander towards the Chinese market. They make design changes in the movie. They make selective edits to their movies. They hide black folks on their movie posters so that apparently racist Chinese people will still see their movie, because I don't know how else to call it that. I don't know what else to call it. Like, this isn't me being everything's rah, 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 you know. I mean, like, literally, if you're hiding a black dude and you're making him smaller on the poster, there's only one reason you're doing that. But everybody's fine with that because of Machina bucks. And comicbook.com also covered the story, not adding much new other than back in January, January 2016, The Force Awakens earned 52 million on its opening weekend in China and 126 in the country overall. So you go from TFA was 52 million. Then you went to 30 million, 28 million, and now 18 million. They continue. It seems like more and more people in the Chinese market are seeing the movie and deciding that it's not worth continuing to see, which is apparently what's happening here in the United States. Now, Mark Hamill got himself into a little bit of trouble, as if you were covering the I Stand With Maya situation and hashtag this is not a drill, you knew that yesterday J.K. Rowling was canceled for daring to stand up against a woman being fired for sharing an opinion online that biology is real, essentially. J.K. Rowling tweeted, "Dress however you like, or you please, call yourself whatever you like, hook up with any consenting adult who will have you, live your best life, but force women out of their jobs for stating that biology is real?" Question mark. True, right? This is it's funny that the mask slips a little bit on J.K. Rowling here. We know that she panders to the ultra woke and to people that have never read a single book in their life other than Harry Potter. So she retcons characters and she does all sorts of stuff like that to get those likes and retweets. Of course, that blew up in her face because then people started calling her a TERF, saying what she said was somehow anti-trans, which of course it isn't. Every single trans person I know and I talk to, and you can look through who I follow and who I interact with online. I'm not saying my trans friends, but they all understand biology is real and they all understand my position too. Look, essentially, I say what J.K. Rowling is saying. You do as you. As long as you're not infringing on anybody else's rights, hurting anybody else, you live your best life. Love is, complex, and as long as it's not illegal and you're not hurting anybody, you do you. You want to be an androgynous tree person, good on you. Now, I may not call you an androgynous tree person, but that, of course, is my right. As long as you don't demand I do it, good. And I'll probably then do it if you're not a total jerk about it. But Mark Hamill, he's of course ultra woke today, and he took a little bit of backlash yesterday for, you guessed it, liking that tweet. And he had to quickly apologize today and post I miss Obama, like I miss the Obama man, to repander to his audience, and then 2 hours later apologize for saying that this tweet is transphobic. A phobia is an irrational fear of something. This is not an irrational fear of trans people. This tweet isn't about trans people. This tweet is about people being able to do or say whatever they wish, and also that biology is real. Of course, Mark Hamill forced to apologize, saying, "Ignorance is no excuse. But I liked the tweet without understanding what the last line or hashtags meant. It was the first 4 lines I liked, and I didn't realize it had any transphobic connotation. Please, liberals, don't cancel me. Luke Skywalker did nothing wrong." And of course, immediately after that, post a picture of him and the late Carrie Fisher as to redirect everyone. He's brilliant on social media. Really, he is. Mark Hamill is a crazy person, but he does love Star Wars. I don't think you can, in good faith, argue that Hamill doesn't like Star Wars. He's been he's been a vocal critic of the direction of recent Star Wars, and curiously, a lot of people like him aren't exactly talking about The Last Jedi, or I'm sorry, The Rise of Skywalker. They're not really promoting it. Why do you think that is? A lot of times with these Hollywood people, while Hamill did mention The Rise of Skywalkers and accidentally, shilled for it in a way, I think Hamill did his job in Hollywood. He's required to do that. But a lot of times it's not the things you say, it's the things you don't say. And Mark Hamill, I always give the guy a pass because he clearly loves Star Wars. And he's clearly critical of many of the same things that a lot of us are critical of. But every time he bends the knee to Twitter outrage mob, it makes me respect him so much less. I mean, the idea that you would have to apologize for simply liking a tweet in the face of the beloved franchise Star Wars crumbling before your eyes, which, by the way, it's currently sitting at a 58% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's, you know, let's put things into perspective here. Mark Hamill did nothing wrong, and even if I do disagree with this TDS, it doesn't mean I won't defend him. See, I think that if I can end this video on any advice at all, it's that you shouldn't ascribe a single belief or a single thing somebody says and make it define a person entirely. I all the time, hey, look, I defended J.K. Rowling yesterday, and I think she's one of the most vapid, virtue signaling do-nothings in the world. But what she did there's nothing wrong with what she did. And if you don't defend people that that you might be critical of from time to time, then when people just call you a hater, they'll be right. You have to look at each individual situation and apply nuance and apply context to it and decide if you agree or disagree with it, instead of just saying, oh, this is some blue check mark on Twitter, oh, it's J.K. Rowling, let her writhe in pain. Like, I saw a lot of people today when I was talking about the Witcher film, like, screw Netflix, I don't like the Witcher series because Netflix. And I mean, that's your right to have that opinion. I just would wish that people would, there are good shows on Netflix. There are a lot of junk ones too. Like I said, it's a lot of times it's picking the peanut out of the turd, but you'll miss a lot of good if you just take a blanket belief and ascribe it to somebody forever for all of time. I don't think that's healthy. I don't like it when people do it to me. I only hope that people take a moment and apply context and realize that you can defend somebody that you don't like. In fact, I think it makes you stronger. It also makes your case stronger when people come at you. If I'm talking to fellow or prospective content creators, whether it's YouTube, blogs, podcasts, or even people that like to have spirited conversations and debates, if you only ever defend your side and attack the other, you're exactly what they say. You've got to stretch your mind a little bit. You've got to take some time and learn to defend people you don't like. I think it's just good mental exercise, but it also makes the case stronger when you fight back against people who would try to dismiss your opinion simply because you're a quote-unquote hater. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.